And welcome to the 13th episode of the New Podcast. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer extraordinaire Kelly. Let's get to it. What a weekend of MMA. I don't think we've ever experienced this much mainstream MMA packed into one whole weekend. I was having to pick and choose what I was going to record because there was just so much between the two UFCs, the two Bellators, KSW, also M1. We had what people paid for and are calling boxing, but I'll get a little bit to that. Once again, boxing drops the ball and is a joke. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Disgusting. But man, did we ever have a ton of MMA this weekend. Tons to get to. Show's going to be an easy one today with all the content and everything to talk about. Didn't disappoint. I was really excited to watch it all. Like I said, it was just so much to cram into it. There was so much to cram into the weekend. It was very enjoyable for a fight fan, especially for an MMA fan. Let's talk some news here. Cejudo Dillashaw, official January 26th. It's weird that's at 125. I don't know, is 125 still around? I thought they were dissolving the whole division. What's going on with 125? Is that going to be it after that? I think they're hoping, obviously, I think if Cejudo wins, maybe they still keep the division. But if Dillashaw wins, maybe they dissolve the division. They should do something like where Dillashaw rips the belt in half in the middle of the ring or something. I don't want this belt. This little baby belt. It's too small. Sized way too small. But either way, I think it's going to be a good fight. Definitely, Dillashaw's got to be a favorite. It's going to be a good fight either way. Cejudo's a tough fighter, but I think we've already talked about this many times. Dillashaw's just on another level right now.
To that.
Dana White goes on blast of a coked up, and these are his words, not mine, a coked up Oscar De La weirdo. And just blasting him about, putting out Chuck Liddell, making him look bad in that fight, you know what I mean? But hey, he looked in good shape. He just didn't have it upstairs mentally. And he put the California State Athletic Commission also on blast as well, saying they should have never sanctioned the fight in the first place. And you know what? Hey, they both put on a fight, whatever, you know what I mean? He went out there, he looked good and was saying the right things, but just obviously what we saw was a total depressing fight of a well-aged fighter who took a lot of shots, that's for damn sure. But I think to put Oscar De La Hoya on blast is okay. It did 40,000 buys. It's not bad for a fledgling, first MMA event. It's not bad at all. I think obviously having the name Chuck Liddell helped, and I think that's why Oscar De La Hoya did it, because everyone was tuning in just because if it was Tito versus somebody else, I don't think they would have even got half that buy. But since it was Tito and Chuck, obviously a lot of people, for Chuck's 8-year hiatus, we're going to see him come back and get an easy win. But as we obviously watched, it was not the case. Dana coming out super hard on against Oscar, and maybe we'll see what happens between that. If their feud escalates to what's Oscar De La Hoya's response to Dana White's accusations of being a cokehead. Obviously, Dana White doesn't have pictures of himself in lingerie and fishnets and in women's clothing, you know what I mean? With makeup. So the whole world has those pictures, so tough to win any kind of argument when it comes to people calling you a weirdo. I think one of the biggest signings, huge signing. I thought Sage Northcutt was going to go to Bellator. Here, ONE FC making another huge move and signing him. Huge move for him. A karate guy. It works super well for the Asian market. Good signing for ONE FC, and I think it's a perfect fit for Sage Northcutt too. You know what I mean? Competition isn't going to be as tough. I think he sizes up well against a lot of the Asian fighters. I think it's a great move for him. He probably got paid huge. Great time to be a free agent, Sage Northcutt, who didn't really have the best of records.
He will now.
He's gonna go in 20. He's gonna win 20 fights in a row now. Exactly.
It's gonna be the next. Shit, what's the guy's name going to the UFC?
Askren.
Yeah, Ben Askren.
The next. See, I could see Sage maybe losing a fight here or there. You know what I mean? But There's no real major wrestlers in, like Thailand and Philippines and China and, Singapore, that whole area. Wrestling isn't really their thing. More of striking is their thing. In Japan you see more grapplers, if anything, but from those other places, wrestling isn't in their blood. It's just not their thing. Obviously in China, the Mongolian wrestling is huge, but what we see a lot in 1FC is guys from Thailand and from the Philippines, and they're tough, scrappy dudes. But like I said, wrestling just isn't ingrained to them. So I think obviously Ben Askren had an easy time over there, especially the other dudes, the other towners, like the different fighters they were given. Ben Askren definitely, they had decent wrestling, but it wasn't up to his all American wrestling capabilities. They needed to bring in if they brought in an Olympic wrestler for him to fight, I think it would have been a different story. But obviously, he didn't do that. That's why I think he's going to come over. Obviously, it's super shitty that is official for him fighting Robbie Lawler. For Robbie Lawler, I think. But I hope Robbie Lawler plays a spoiler and wins that fight. But huge news for Sage Northcutt signing with 1FC. A big call-out I like was Overeem calling out Derek Lewis. Like we talked a little bit on the last show. Who does Overeem fight next? And man, I love that fight. I love that matchup. Overeem versus Derek Lewis. I think that really sizes up well, and it's a smart call out by Overeem because Derek Lewis is a bit slower, and I think maybe Overeem's power can match that a bit, and I think, he gets knocked out at his point in his career. He's just got to, I think he's going to have to make some smart calls of winnable fights and also money fights. I think Overeem's going to be one of those dudes who's always going to get paid huge. Just like the heavyweights we saw last night. It was, I bet you those dudes got paid, and deservedly so. Those were very, very good fights in the UFC, the Adelaide show. Surprise news was Rachel Ostovich. She was recently got her orbital bone broken, in that nasty dispute that's going on, but she's actually cleared to fight. So at least that's a bit of good news for her, what the shit she's going through, I couldn't even imagine in her home life, but still, at least, that's a bit, something to cheer her up, that at least she gets to fight Paige Van Zant and still get paid, because, who was know legally what, money she was going to lose for having her orbital broken, but now she gets to fight, so it's good news coming out of there. One thing I heard that I thought was super weird was the rumor is if Anderson Silva beats Israel, he gets a title shot. Instant title shot. It's going to be like, I know, it's going to be like a title elimination. Israel versus Anderson Silva.
How?
I know. And it's being reported, like Dana White is confirming that he did have that conversation with Anderson Silva. I know, exactly. So we'll see. But he's still got to get past, obviously, Israel first, Adesanya. But can he do it? That's gonna be obviously the hardest thing first. So it's gonna be one of those things where maybe is he looking past Israel a little bit? You know what I mean? Exactly. I know, exactly. He's lost like 5 fights in a row. He's lost like 5 fights, and then who did he beat recently? Oh, yeah, Derek Brunson. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. That's why I thought it was weird. But like I said, the reports out there. Does he have a stand a chance? He's opening up as a huge underdog, which I think I'm gonna put money on Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva's huge underdog. It's like he's like plus 500.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To win. Exactly. But I give him a chance. Like I said, if maybe Israel can get like starstruck a little bit, if he gets a little bit of starstruck, and he had an interview on the fight night in Adelaide, and he was wearing kind of like a weird backpack thing. He was like a small backpack, but on the front, so I thought it was a little bit off. But he was talking a little bit how much he idolized Anderson Silva, but he did say, but I'm going to go to work and win the fight regardless. But is it playing a little bit into his head come the lights, come that night? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, all these Nigerian fighters who are getting tons of play recently. These dudes are tough killers. For Israel Adesanya, Carl Usman, who we saw on Friday, and then even that other dude who fought last night as well. I can't remember what the heck his name was now here, but that we'll get to that later on. But man, that dude's a killer too, man. These dudes are coming up here and just just killing dude. They're just being murderers, man. It's awesome. It's really, really good for the sport. The influx, because they're really good straight strikers, and there's a few, Usman's an amazing wrestler, so very tough, very great game fighting people, and I love it. Just like I said, always the different people of different nationalities all over the world. That's what makes MMA, mixed martial arts. Obviously, everyone's different, and people match up differently against other people, or certain skill sets, or even people from different countries match up different against other people from different countries. It's just wide world of sports we live in, I tell you. But I'm telling you, I'm putting money on Anderson Silva to win. The odds are so crazy. I'm putting that's a bet to go with for someone who has a puncher's chance. I'll put money on that. Disgusting rumor that I read was Tito versus Dan Henderson.
Oh, I've seen that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's actually got a lot of steam right now. I Tito. It's typical of any fighter to say I retire. You know what I mean? But when they dangle that money in front of you, I think that's an easy fight for either dude. I think Dan Henderson will see. We'll see what kind of Dan Henderson, because it's been a while since he's been away, but I hope it's untrue. I hope both those guys can be happy and stay retired. That's what kind of Tito, to go back to the take about the point about Dana calling out Oscar. Tito actually was the only one who kind of went in Oscar's corner and said, "Hey, I have to take this fight because you didn't pay me enough back when we were the people building up UFC. You didn't pay us shit. So I'm unfortunately in the situation where I have to take these fights in order to still live the lifestyle." And that's sad. That is sad. But so do we see Tito versus Henderson? It is intriguing because they never fought before, and I think it could be another good fight if they put it on California. Oscar De La Hoya's got to be smart with that. Do it in California. Just the population's there, and people love fights. Obviously, Tito's from California. So is Dan Henderson. So it works that way too. Dan Henderson from Temecula. Love that. I would move to Temecula just to say I live in Temecula, California. I hope it's not true though. Like I said, I hope both guys can retire happily, but we'll see. Crow Cop comes out with some nasty news saying Rizin can't afford him for the New Year's Eve card because they've spent all the money on Floyd Mayweather's exhibition. So Crow Cop's saying, "Hey, I'm not taking a pay cut just because Floyd Mayweather's on the card. I'm fucking Crow Cop, and I've been the main attraction here for the last few years. Pay me or I'm not coming," and rightfully so. He's at that age where he should be able to say, I wonder what it's like living in Croatia, you know what I mean? It's probably pretty cool. But still, he's obviously very financially well off, and he doesn't have to take it. Good for him.
He has that fuck you money.
Exactly. And if you can just go rob someone, just head kick them if you wanted to. He just goes into a bank and just starts head kicking everybody. Oh, shit.
I won the purse.
But talking about ONE FC, Koji Hiraguchi is going to fight Darren Caldwell the New Year's Eve card. I love that. As a co-promotion, I talked about it before, and I'm fucking super pissed off. Seriously, Ariel Helwani, and you stole my take. Seriously, Ariel Helwani, ESPN, Ariel Helwani and the bad guy, with Chael Sonnen. They have this whole thing about cross promotions and who they want to fight each other. I was talking about that weeks ago. You guys fucking listen to this show, didn't even credit me. Obviously, was way more articulate and much more content in their version of it. But seriously, you know what I mean? People always listen to this damn show and stealing my content. Jeez Louise. Couldn't believe it. But I digress. It's free world out there. Little Mermaid stealing my shit though, I tell you what.
Man, fuck that mermaid.
Go back to the sea, motherfucker. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, but still, whatever. I like that fight. I like the co-promoting. I'd love to see another one. They had Brennan Ward fought somebody. I can't remember who he fought a few years back too in Risen too. I thought that was cool with Bellator. Bring over another dude too. But I thought that's actually a really good matchup because Horiguchi's really good at 125. Caldwell's a really rising star, and now I'm actually interested in watching that. That gives it a good match for Risen's New Year Eve show, which is right around the corner, man. We're a month away for all these huge main events. The year-end shows, Christmas, let alone. All that shit. We are so close to it. I'm not even going to talk about the Grey Cup. Just because I'm from Canada, I'm not going to talk about the Grey Cup. I hate Calgary. Shit. Cow Town. Cow Pie City.
I used to live there.
That explains a lot.
Only for a couple months.
Oh, shit. That's hilarious. It's hilarious. Don't like Calgary. Calgary doesn't like us. That's the problem. Calgary doesn't like us. You know what I mean? I didn't do anything to you. If you want to hate me, I'm going to hate you right back.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's what you get.
Hate the Stampeders, too. Just because they beat us every damn time. Can't stand the goddamn Stampeders. Oh, man, but news. To round out the news, I got to talk about this. Fallout, we gotta have a talk, man. This is some bullshit. Did you hear about the canvas bag situation, Kelly? Yeah, exactly.
It's a nylon bag.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone got nylon bags. It's all the people who spent like the $200 for this special limited edition one, where it even says right on the ad, canvas bag. That's like the first line. Like that's the big selling point. This beautiful canvas looking bag. People didn't get that. People got this shitty ass nylon. It looks like it's like Velcro up at the top bag. And the worst part is how Bethesda is handling this situation. Not well. I can tell you that much. Not well at all. So this person sends an email, because on the thing, if you're not happy with their product, everything's got that. Call this number. Concerns or whatever, right? Calls a number or emails the person and says, hey, I didn't get the canvas bag. What's up? And they said, due to the canvas bags costing too much, Bethesda just came up with another solution and sent you out bags, and they won't be resolving the situation any further. And I thought, okay, that's terrible. That's terrible news. And then Bethesda, obviously now a lot of people are pissed off about this, so Bethesda releases this statement saying, hey, we're just a contract company that we hired out to be the response team for the comment line, and they don't represent us fully. We got this. We're taking this in consideration, and we'll see what we can do. Then they release. This doesn't even end. They release another statement on Twitter saying due to a canvas shortage, we couldn't get the bags. A canvas shortage. A fucking canvas shortage. Like that's the best plan you guys can come up with. That's the best thing you can come up with.
Can't make more.
I know. I don't know where you can find it. Sorry. We called everywhere. We called our canvas guy. He was out, and so that was it.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
It gets. You gotta grow canvas. It grows on trees. You can't just make canvas. It has to be planted and grown. But it gets better. It doesn't even end there. So then after that, they're like, okay, well, we understand everyone's upset, and these are the diehard fans you fucked over. I didn't buy one. I don't pre-order. I don't like to pre-order shit these days. I find something always happens. I like to just go the day of, buy it the day of. I've never been disappointed when I buy it the day of. There's always some stock. They're never going to run out of supplies these days. I like to buy it the day of. But they say, okay, well, understand everyone's upset. We'll offer you 500 Atom Bucks. Like that's like in-game currency. And it's Atom Bucks. It doesn't do anything for your character. Thank God. It's just cosmetic. Is the only thing it affects. But 500 Atom Bucks is $5. You know what I mean? Like another spit in the face to these diehard fans who wanted the stupid power armor helmet and the beautiful canvas bag it was supposed to come with that you could store your helmet in. Didn't get that, and then you fucked them over, Bethesda. I've been a huge fan since Morrowind, man, but this is a black eye. Not on top of the game being quite buggy. It is, even for Fallout standards, it is quite buggy. I love it, but still, there is all these things that people are noticing that's making the game tough to play. Number one for me is when you're getting attacked by an invisible dude and you can't do anything about it. And the shitty thing when you're getting attacked by invisible dude, I find in the beginning, earlier stages, like I'm not even like level 20 yet, is like stim packs are like the hardest thing to come by. And you're being attacked by something you can't fight back against, and you can't stop and eat to heal yourself. So you just gotta run. Like I found the only strategy to deal with this. If you're having a hard time with this problem, just run, because that's the only thing that's gonna save you from this invisible whatever that's attacking you, and you're constantly losing health. They got to do something though to really turn this ship around, because sales are apparently abysmal. It had a lot of bad press before for the beta coming into the actual game. They got to do something to turn this ship around. They got to do another big patch fix. I think it will be a good game down the road. I'm still playing it, but they got to right the ship, especially screwing over the most diehard fans with all this, with $5 for the not having a canvas bag. Give them $25. I think if you gave everyone $25, they'd be a lot more happy. But something's got to be done, because they're about to lose a lot of fans, and they're in this game here that's already struggling is about to start losing people who've already paid for it, and are going to move to Red Dead Redemption. You know what I mean? I'm tempted. I'll play Red Dead later on, but I want to at least finish Fallout.
Except the problem with Red Dead is you go into any city and people just start shooting you. Or you're like riding down the trail trying to do something, someone just shoots you dead. Like
crazy.
Yeah, man. Right now it's just chaos. I don't know. I don't even know what I was supposed to do because I keep dying.
So it's like, is it like other players, or is it? Oh, okay, it's other players. Crazy. So when you die, do you lose? Do you lose anything? Like,
you get to keep everything.
Oh, okay, that's
good. So you
good.
can like murder people and loot them, and not other actual players, but
right.
the NPCs.
Right, the NPCs.
Yeah, and take all their stuff and sell that if you want to.
Oh, okay.
That's the only way I can make money right now. And that's if I can make it to a city or a store without getting shot first. So
crazy.
I don't know, man. I need like a posse
really?
or something just to like make it anywhere.
That's crazy. That's Wild West.
Yeah.
Wild West is right.
I don't like to join like groups of randoms either. So
nobody does. That's the worst. That's the worst. I actually had a very eager guy when I was playing the other day. That's what they're saying, that I see people all the time playing when I'm online. But this guy was so eager for me to join up, and he was a high level too. And we had like a cool mission that was in front of us too. We could, but I was gonna log off. I was already like at the end of my run. But he was quite eager for me to join, which is kind of nice. But still, I don't really want to play with random people either. You know what I mean? Don't know them, and you're all over the place. You find, you end up wasting a ton of time, following this person around. Who knows what they're doing? You know what I mean? And you're end up gonna waste time. One thing is weird is that Fallout doesn't have NPCs, so it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? I didn't really notice until someone mentioned it, and because there is robots you can sell too. They're just a Protectatron robots. No other people other than no NPCs at all. Just the other people you run across. So I thought that was kind of when someone mentioned it, I'm like, that's really fucking weird. Yeah, but it's true. It's true. There's none out there. Just robots. But maybe that's part of the storyline, that everyone there is, because all the people are scorched, and you do see all these like husks, like these burnt husks of people, and that you go and you can touch them, and then they just like crumble and fall apart. So maybe that's part of the storyline. They worked it in that way. But I thought that was really weird too, because that was always part of Fallout as well. Was you could always turn on the town, like you could always attack the town in Fallout and see how you do. I think that was always kind of a little fun. You save the game, you know what I mean, and go and massacre a whole town and see how well you can do against the guards and that type of thing, and then you die and just restart, right?
Haven't they been through enough?
You're doing them a favor. Shape up, Fallout. Come on. I'm speaking as a friend. Let's talk some MMA. As I started off with the show, man, let's man, what a weekend we had. What an amazing weekend. I'm gonna open up with my take of the week. I think with all these MMA cards, are we seeing a rise in MMA? Are we seeing this new golden era of MMA with this week? I don't think I've ever experienced a week where there was 2 UFCs, 2 Bellators, and then a KSW, and it was just coincidence for those other guys, but still to have two UFCs and 2 Bellators, that's never happened. And it's not even like fight week. I think fight week's in May or something like that. But man, we had so many cards. There was Venator, Bellator, KSW, M1, even boxing this week. You know what I mean? Like, at so many events, and that's just naming the mainstream ones. And that's my question to you out there in the world. Like, is there this new golden era of MMA coming around the corner? And I think there is. I think we'll have to see how these year-end shows shape up, to really put that stamp of approval on that statement. I think a little bit of the Floyd Mayweather news, because I think there was a lot of shit swirling around that it was actually going to be an MMA fight, which everyone wanted to watch. Since it's now a boxing exhibition, it loses a little bit of its dazzle. But I still think having Floyd Mayweather fight, even though it's exhibition, fight for an MMA organization, I think it's I think it's getting MMA as a whole, especially UFC, over. And I think getting it over with the fans, the combat fans. If you start getting those boxing fans, those are the most diehard fans. That's why boxing numbers are always so huge. If you get some of those boxing viewers to start tuning in UFC, Rizin has done an amazing job with that. You're going to have people that still going to, even though it's an exhibition, a lot of people are going to buy that event. Lots of people. And obviously, as we found out, Floyd got a ton of money for that fight as well. Who else tries to outdo them? Who else tries to outdo Rizin? Because I think right now they've taken that torch, and they're the torchbearer right now for that year-end show. UFC's kind of gone off a little bit with theirs. You know what I mean? They haven't made them the huge mega cards they had in the past. I think Ronda Rousey was the main person who'd always do that. But who comes in and really tries to give them a run for their money for their New Year's Eve show?
They have risen to the top.
Kelly. You just had that one locked and loaded. That was beautiful. Oh my god, that was beautiful. They really have, though. They really have. And does Bellator do an event that night too, and then maybe have a Japanese fighter from Rizin come over to Bellator and fight? I think that's kind of cool. Maybe have one event in Russia, one event in Japan. KSW. I watched KSW this weekend. Do they make some noise? I'll get into their card too. My whole take on how KSW did this weekend. Do they make some noise with some throwing around some money and getting, they got the Martin Ford versus the Iranian Hulk fight. Do they put that? I think it's probably obviously a little bit too early to have those two dudes fight. Maybe they make it for New Year's Eve. Who knows? But with that even being said, even though Rizin is having the big show, can anybody out there really challenge Bellator for that number 2 spot? I think obviously ONE FC is going to be number 3. But who else is going to step up? And I think ONE FC is the only really person out there who's going to really try to get them a run for their money and really try to make it something out of this. And I think with all these huge signings we're seeing with the free agents, somebody's got to step up. Somebody come out of nowhere and do this. We had that Super Fight League a long time ago, Kelly, and it was like this Indian organization out of India. And they were signing people. They had a few. I think Travis Whiff went and fought over there. They had a few guys over here, and they were having shows in Washington, D.C. So they'd have shows in India and in Washington. And it was they really were signing people. They were doing a lot of fights. They had a TV show too, and then they had like a tournament style fight as well. But the co-maker, like the co-owner of the whole show, was like a big Bollywood star, and he was mega India, huge. He had like millions and millions of dollars, but he got arrested for crime ties to like organized crime. So like that's what was kind of funny about this guy. He always played the bad guy in movies. Like he was like, that's what he was known for, being the bad guy in all these movies. And here he's in real life, he's like a mob guy. So it was but it totally killed all their momentum, because he left, they lost all their money. They still put on some shows, but they weren't even anywhere near as good as they were. Could we see that again? Some rich dude coming out of nowhere and throwing a bunch of money all over the place for these fights. I would love to see that too. Someone coming out of nowhere. Are we on the cusp of something great? Are we on the cusp of somebody coming, some golden warrior from the sky comes down and and just, becomes that 2 or 3 champ? Are we on the cusp of something great with the promotions? Are we going to see some co-promoting in the future? Are we going to see these mega Super Bowl cards for Fight Week or something? Are we on the cusp? I would love to see what's going to happen. And I think what it does is we are at this changing of the guard. What this whole thing is at right now with this new golden era is we're at a changing of the guard. It's out with the old and in with the new. And I think Chuck Liddell is that person who did it. Chuck Liddell was the person back in 2005 who put them on the map with the Tough Show to go on beat Randy Couture at UFC 51. And that was really when UFC was really starting to turn heads. That was really when it did. And now the era ended when Chuck Liddell got knocked out by Tito. And I think that's how the timeline of MMA works, through Chuck Liddell. and I think that's where it's all these things are all happening coincidentally. And I think that's what we're seeing right here is a changing of the guard, out with the old, in with the new. The sun has set on the UFC fighters of the 2000 era, and we're seeing the 2020 era of fighters coming across here, and it's just going to change the world, and MMA is just going to rise and rise more. Very interesting shit. I don't know where all this came from. Just it all kind of snuck up on me, all these events, and it's going to be very interesting. I'm super excited. Love MMA, as you can't tell if you don't listen to the show. You wouldn't know I love MMA wholeheartedly. But one thing I gotta say is the Twitter is officially up. We haven't added, it's just bare bones, but it is at new podcast. Check it out. Shoot us some shit. Send us terrible MMA memes.
All the dick pics. Dick
pics will be accepted.
Just not looked at.
They'll be made into a collage later on. No, check it out. What do you think we should do next? Instagram or something?
Yeah.
Instagram. All right, cool. Yeah. Isn't there? Yeah, Instagram. What about Spotify? We should get on Spotify or something like that. That's what somebody was saying to me. We should be on Spotify. I'm like, I don't even know how to do that.
I'll have to look.
We'll look it up. Branching out everywhere. Branching out to all y'all. Thanks to everyone who listened last week. Now you can holler at your boys on Twitter at and new podcast. Let's get back to the MMA. Oh, we had the Tough. The last episode, Tough, really, really good. Macy Chiasson versus Leah Letson. Great fight. I kind of thought Macy was gonna take the show when I saw her first fight. She's just a straight up killer. But I thought the weight cut right first 2 minutes, and even Kevin Gastelum said the same thing. She didn't come out like she normally did, very aggressive. The weight cut, I think, had a bit of effect on her, obviously, throughout the episode, how she was having a hard time cutting weight. And it was a kind of weird dynamic when Leah walked in the room. She's all bundled up trying to cut weight, and here Leah walks into the room, kind of like a deer in the headlights, and was like, what's going on here? Oh, you're weight cutting? Cool. Oh, okay, see? And she felt bad about it afterwards. She was very genuine and honest about it. Just was an accident, and she didn't, she stepped in the room and didn't really know what to do or say, and then walked out. She did feel bad about it, which was nice. I like Leah. She was a bit of a whiner, but she does seem like a very genuine, nice person. But 2 minutes in, and Macy finally wakes up and lands that slick toss. She's really good with those judo tosses. With her height, I knew it was gonna be a problem for Leah. That height almost gets mount. They stand it back up, and then the tie clinch by Macy was just deadly. Those body shots was just too much, and Leah Letson got toe up from the flow up. Man, those knees, they were just killer. Good for Macy to win the show and obviously go on to to go on the final. I mean, against Penny Kinzad. We'll get to a little bit later on. Good season. First season I watched in a long time. Basically the whole way through, I was actually really invested into it. They had a lot of good fighters. I want to see just a heavyweight show, though. Just a heavyweight show. Let's do this, UFC. On to UFC The Ultimate Fighter finale on Friday. Good show. I was really excited. It was a long show. I thought they had a lot of good fights on it. I was really just more interested in obviously the main event was really cool, but I was more interested in who was going to win the show between the heavyweights and between the girls. It was a really good card. Tim Means comes out with a win. Maurice Green, that Michel Batista, I don't know what happened to that guy. He had all this prestige against him, having an Olympic medal, and he gets triangle choked by Maurice Green. Michel Batista probably will never fight in the UFC again unless the UFC goes to Cuba or something. He was just talk about a dude who had the opportunity to do something, run with it, and he fell right off the gate. He fell flat on his face. Darren Stewart versus Edmund Shabaez was actually a good fight. I thought Darren Stewart was going to win that way. It was kind of weird because Shabaez, he's trained by Ronda Rousey's old coach. Those Armenian dudes, the yelling Armenian dudes. And he's normally a stand-up fighter, but they told him to come into this just to try to grapple Darren Stewart. And I think it almost fucking backfired on the dude. I think he almost tired himself out because he's not a grappler, he's a striker. But obviously Darren Stewart's a terrible grappler. Number one, he's just a stand-up striker too. But it almost looks like he tired himself out there. And one thing I got to mention about the undercard though was that terrible non-stoppage for Yves Levine. Did you see that, Kelly?
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah, that was crazy. Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez. And he actually jumps in, puts his hand on Joseph Benavidez, and so he stands up, but then Alex Perez just grabs him, and Yves just lets it go on. Like, what the fuck is going on here? You just told me to stop, and then I turn my back on the dude, and then he attacks me, and then you let the fight go on? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Then obviously, but still, Joseph Benavidez still won. Obviously, if he would have lost that fight, my God, could you imagine the repercussions if he would have lost that fight somehow? Wow, you know what I mean? But the worst part about the whole fucking thing was having to listen to Jimmy Smith yell about it. Fucking can't stand this dude. Joe Rogan Jr., go away. Once again, they have that terrible commentating team. It's so bad. I miss Mike Goldberg. I really do. The other guy they have is so white bread. And then Joe Rogan Jr. yelling into the mic, trying to be opinionated. The thing I hate the most about Jimmy Smith, he's like, oh, that's hard. Oh, my God, you can't believe to do that. That's so hard. Everything's fucking hard, you moron. It's MMA. Duh, these guys aren't just walking off the street and this stuff's easy. Everything is hard. Duh. Stop saying everything is hard, man. We get it. Just go away. I don't want to hear your fucking voice again. Damn it. Well, I honestly listened to most of the fucking show with the volume off. I'm not shitting you, man. Guy's voice is like fucking nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't stand it. And yes, I can do better. Way better. Give me a call. Holla at your boy. Yeah, like I said, I had to mute it for the Shabaez versus Stewart match. It was just too much. The Caraway fight, that was Pedro Munoz versus Brian Caraway. I don't know what Brian Caraway was protesting. He got fucking messed up. That Kyokushin crescent moon kick just caught him too many times, right in that winder spot. You know what I mean? That's terrible to get kicked in. Punched in anything right in your right underneath your ribs, right in the middle. That's a terrible spot to get hit. It's hard, I tell you. But I always get Brian Caraway mixed up with Darren Cruikshank for some weird reason. They look identical. I think they're both from Detroit. Which one was it? Caraway was married to or dating?
Dating Misha Tate.
Yeah, Misha Tate. Was that Caraway or was that Cruikshank?
That's Caraway.
Oh, okay, Caraway. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, white guys look exactly the same. That brings us to the first fight of Ultimate Fighter finale between the girls, Macy Chainsaw versus Penny Kinzad. Man, those girls, they went to war. It was a really good fight. Macy's knees once again proving to be just so deadly with that sloppy takedown by Penny in the first round. Almost got her choked out, but she got saved by the bell. Really good first round. The second round was weird because I was watching just on TV on TSN, and all of a sudden they come back from the commercial and they're a minute into the fourth round, and and that right at that point was when Macy landed that crazy combo and dropped Kinzad. And it just was went pretty much as I thought. You know what I mean? Takes her down, almost gets to the arm bar. She's just too dominant on top. Far too good on the ground. Macy takes it. But what I loved about it, how she trapped the arm and got the rear naked choke. Beautiful move. There was nowhere for Penny to go, and she had to submit. I think she'll get a contract too. Kinzad's a real tough, real game fighter, especially if UFC goes to Sweden or anywhere in Europe. They're gonna be coming over. She's gonna get a fight against somebody, and good on her. She really showed toughness and grit, and that's what the UFC needs. But obviously Macy, she's tough. Macy's undefeated, and I think she's really got a good chance to be a champ. She's just so big. Her knees are just so nasty. It's gonna be tough for anybody to really challenge her, and good on her. We got good champs coming up, or at least a good contender with Macy Chiasson in the women's ranks. Juan Esposito versus Justin Fraser went exactly as I thought. Juan just landed on a beautiful takedown, but I give Justin Fraser he really saved the season for me because I had hated on him the whole time. I tossed him away as a total non-contender. The guy's gonna get worked in his first fight. No, wins his first fight. Okay, whatever. Fluke, total fluke. Wins the second fight. I'm like, what the fuck? And this guy's good. He's okay. He's got a lot of heart, and I'll give Justin Fraser. I'll tip my hat to you, man. I counted you out every fight, and you didn't even give up in this fight, even though you got your total ass kicked. He didn't give up against Juan. Did you see the fight, Kelly?
Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah, it was really good. Too much. Juan just submission attempt after submission attempt. But no quitting Justin Fraser. I'll give him that. But Juan is just too good. That was a cool straight armbar. Another cool finish. You don't see straight armbars very often. Very, very nice one. And Justin Fraser had no choice but to tap out. He better get a contract of some degree as well. Justin Fraser, he wore his arm on his sleeve the whole show, and give him a few fights, give him 3 fights, and whatever. If he loses all 3, he can go home happy man. But I think he's got a few more wins in him. Honestly, I'll give him a few wins. You can't sleep on him. That's for damn sure. He looks like you could sleep on the dude, but you can't sleep on Justin Fraser. Tough dude. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Carl Usman versus Rafael Dos Anjos. The one thing I do like about the UFC, what they're doing recently, is bringing in, because I think Bruce Buffer was obviously in Australia. I think his name is like Mario Martinez, I think is the name of the ring announcer. I can't remember his name, but he's like the Spanish guy. He's super good. Mega golden voice. That guy's got an awesome voice, especially when he announces a Spanish fighter's name. I think he did the Brazil card last time too, and he's super smooth. Good, they got a good guy with that one for a ring announcer. Tough fight for Rafael Dos Anjos. You know what I mean? He just was. I think we unfortunately have found out his kryptonite. He's heavy American wrestlers. When it comes to American wrestlers, they know how to cut weight better than any other. That's why they fit so well into the UFC and in MMA, these American wrestlers, because cutting weight is in their blood. They just are so good at it. They've done it already for years in college, cutting weight. They have it down to a perfect science. They know their body. They know how much time it's going to take. They know what they need to do to get to a certain weight. There's always all those like crazy dietitians in America, especially if you've gone through the college system. You have a network of people, of different specialists who can tell you what's going to work and what's going to not work for you. I think Dillashaw is one of those dudes who does it incredibly well. But it's so hard to compete with that, and I think that's what we're seeing is Dos Anjos is just it's an unfortunate side effect of a dude who's in between 2 weight classes. He doesn't fit 170, and 155 is too small for him. And it's just such an unfortunate because he's such a game fighter. He's got such a beautiful skill set. His jiu-jitsu is amazing. His stand-ups are really good too. He's got a heart of a lion, but it just was too much. Usman was just so big, just grinding him up against the fence, taking him down at will. Dos Anjos almost got that nice. He almost got the nice Kimura from the bottom, which I thought was a beautiful move. At least with that move, you can almost get the sweep. But Usman was just too strong for just his American wrestling background was way too strong. But come the third, I had given it. I going into the third, I had it 1-1. I gave Dos Anjos that one round. But it was just, and both guys let their hands go in the third round. They both were swinging, but Usman was really landing. Usman's reach was a big factor in this fight, big time. And I think it just goes once again with the size of Dos Anjos. He's just a bit too small for 170 to really compete at a high level. And 170 is probably the deepest division in the UFC. It always has been. It's just a very common weight when it comes to guys, I guess. The average, I guess, and because most of the time they're walking around like 210 or something like that, and they cut down to 170. But unfortunately for Dos Anjos, it's just too hard. The fourth, we see him really fading, and the size advantage was just once again too much. Good win for Usman though. Good win for Usman. It wasn't pretty, but he got the win. And where does Dos Anjos go? Back to the drawing board? Maybe he needs that 165 division more than anybody. I think it'd be a perfect fit for him. Just because, does he go back to 155? Can he make it, Kelly? You know what I mean? Do you think he goes back to 155?
I think he might have to if he wants to compete at the high level. Yeah.
I think that's the realness of it. You know what I mean? He was the champ. Even though I guess losing to Eddie Alvarez was so disappointing to him, he's like, I could never fight 155 again. I lost Eddie Alvarez. It was the worst day of my life. Oh shit. I think if it would have been Dos Anjos versus Conor McGregor, it would have been a totally different story. You know what I mean? I don't know if Conor McGregor would have been taking that fight if it was Rafael Dos Anjos. But he gets the loss. Sad to see Dos Anjos go down like that. Very tough fighter. It just was too much against him. Hopefully he has to, he beat Robbie Lawler too, you know what I mean? But it's going to have to go down to 155, I think. 2 losses in a row. But, it was like basically to the number 1. I think Usman's number 5. But, Colby Covington's number 1. To say you lost to those two dudes, not, lost to 2 of the best wrestlers. I think that's just, that's been the tale of time, is strong wrestling grapplers usually do pretty well against jiu-jitsu guys. If you just can defend your arms well and, just control and just be heavy on top, there's not much a jiu-jitsu guy can do. If you're just going to be countering every move with just subtle movements of just moving around without getting caught in a sweep or getting caught in a scramble, you can just nullify everything. Good card. It was a really good card. Good to see Juan win. Maybe they have a Spanish card now because card in Spain because of Juan, and heavyweights are on notice, man, with Juan, and good card. Usman moves up the ranks. He's got to be getting a shot soon as well. Maybe Colby. Who knows? On to Bellator 210. It was actually a pretty shitty card, to tell you the truth. It honestly was. It was very boring. Because all the main cards, all the main fights except for the last fight went to decision. And they were slow as shit. It was, when you see the amateur styles, and let's be honest here, this is, where the hell it was, Winchester World Casino and Resort in Thackerville, Oklahoma. It's obviously a lower level card on the Bellator calendar.
Talk about a tourism hotspot.
Exactly. It's a casino and resort, though.
Wow.
WinStar World Casino and Resort.
Must be packed.
Thackerville, Oklahoma. I don't even know where the hell that is. There's
Somewhere
not much.
England.
I don't think Oklahoma doesn't have really anything other than their college football team. You know what I mean? That's somewhere in England.
Oh, it's in the U.S.
It's America. Damn. But like I was saying though, when you get all these amateur dudes, they're new to pros. You really got to throw caution to the wind here, people, and make a name for yourself. All these decisions aren't gonna really get you anywhere. No one's gonna turn their head. And obviously, I'm on the outside looking in, but I think that's just kind of what you got to tell yourself. It's just, obviously, you got to come with a game plan. You want to win, but you want to have some flair with it. You know what I mean? All those, I was falling asleep, honestly. The undercard was a lot better. There was tons of finishes in the undercard. They got the message. There was one, oh yeah, Joe Warren was bitching that he wasn't on the main card, and here he loses. He gets worked in 1 minute and 42 seconds. That's the reason why Joe Warren. I was kind of weirded out by it though too, because Joe Warren was the champ, and even though he is 135, 135 pounds, that why they would put him on the undercard, I thought it was a bit odd. But either way, he still loses, so it kind of just goes to show. Even Joe Schilling was on the undercard too, and he was a big name. He's obviously had a few knockouts recently. Let's break down. Who did this guy beat him? Sean Bunch. Wow, that's weird. Or it must be Sean Bunch. No, okay, that could be it. That because he's got a weird nickname. Okay, it must be Sean Bunch the Great. Because his name is Sean Bunch, but his nickname is Bunch the Great. Very weird. Who came up with this guy's nickname? I'm not making this up.
Sean Bunch the Great Bunch.
Yeah, great. Okay, there you go. Sean Bunch the Great Bunch. You got it, Kelly. You got it. Terrible. I don't want to think about your nickname. And it doesn't even make any sense at all. 8-3, 135. He's from Columbus, fighting out of AKA. So he's got a good camp. Joe Warren, I think, came up against a tough dude. He's lost to Darren Caldwell. He beat Rolando Perez. Lost to Steve Garcia. He hasn't really fought anybody. But other than obviously Caldwell, which he got worked by Caldwell, he comes out, gets a good fight against Joe Warren, whoops him. Good win for Sean Bunch. Joe Schilling wins. TKO is a corner stoppage. Goto Yamaguchi wins. David Weichel moves down to 155. That went to split decision, and then that's where we see all the decisions. Very unknown. David Rickles and the dude he fought, Germain Vasconcelos, they had actually a pretty good fight. It wasn't bad, but still, once again, another decision. And it was shitty for Chitty, because he was really supposed to fight Melvin Manhoof, and just two dudes who just were going to stand and kickbox the whole match. Now he has to fight like an All-American wrestler, and obviously John Salter just took him down right away and got the rear naked choke. He had to fight for a little bit, and he tried to stand with Chitty for a little bit, but Salter gets the win. I feel sorry for Chitty because he's a terrible grappler, and obviously we saw that dominant finish for him, and we'll see. Good for John Salter. His stock goes up a little bit on this. If I don't know a whole hell of a lot of the guy. Let's break it down here. 6 degrees of separation, John Salter. So he lost to Rafael Lovato Jr. He got choked out by him. But he had a lot of wins before that, though. Even in Bellator, he beat Dustin Jacoby, beat Brandon Halsley. He's a tough dude. He beat Kendall Grove, beat Jason Radcliffe. Kendall Grove I don't think he's one of. We're in 6 degrees of separation. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Let's see what Kendall Grove has been up to these days. 3 losses in a row. He lost to AJ Matthews, John Salter, Alexander Shlemenko. He beat Francisco France. He beat Joey Beltran. I think that was Joey Beltran's 185 debut. I think Joey Beltran's now in bare knuckle fighting or something like that. John Salter moving on up the Bellator ranks. What time are we at here? Let's take a quick little breather here. Talk some more MMA. We'll be right back after these short messages. Do you need to get strong but aren't getting the results? I haven't got strong, but I haven't tried nothing. Try working out. Oh, yeah. And when you work out, don't forget to drink water. Plenty of water. Brought to you by the Water Company. Drink up. It's in the tap. Only use Brita if you're a pussy. Real men drink tap water.
Water, helping you flush your shit since 1705.
Yo, you got some shit on your hands? Mix some soap and water. Kabam! No more shit on your hands.
Poop on the McDonald's touchscreens? Water. Get that shit off.
They probably just aren't cleaning them. You gotta clean that shit.
I should almost slip that in. People are cleaning them. You
gotta clean that shit.
Chickens, they lay eggs.
And welcome back, folks. Great break. I hope you enjoyed our sponsors and get yourself a tall glass of water on the house. Next Bellator 211, Sakura versus Kapanen. It was actually a really good card. Where the other Bellator card was terrible, this one was lights out. It was like over an hour and a half. It was so quick. They had so many. I was just glad I could fast forward through all the same goddamn commercials they have on the Paramount Network. I would actually really like the Paramount Network shows. Ink Master's not bad. For some reason, I love Bar Rescue. I love that show. Eat that show up for some stupid reason. They actually have some good shows on that. And my family loves Lip Sync Battle. But that's all their commercials are for other shows. That's it. It gets a bit annoying because all you're watching is the same commercial for Cops, for the same segment for Cops 4 times in a row. In between every segment, it gets a little weird. But I digress. At least I got to fast forward. It was a really good card. They had a huge mixture of fighters from all over the world. Obviously, just mostly Europe and South America, but there's 2 Portuguese fighters on it, a lot of Irish guys. I was really obviously a lot of Italian fighters. I was really impressed with the talent they had brought over. Good job on this one, Bellator, going to Italy. Cool crowd. Obviously with Alessio Sakara, being Italian, it just works every time. He's a huge fan favorite over there. Been fighting forever. We had two super quicks right off the bat. One's by Pedro Carvalho. He's from Portugal, trains out of the SBK gym. He gets a super quick guillotine. And then the next one was a crazy quick knockout by Alam Amadevsky. I think he was a Moldovan fighter. That's really cool. Moldova's a really looks like a cool little country. He gets a quick knockout. The guy protests, but man, he was one eye was looking one way and the other eye was looking the other way. He was knocked out for sure. And then I think Orlando was the Italian fighter. He comes out and gets worked on too. It was good to see Hedsey Georges. That was cool move by Bellator to sign Hedsey Georges, former K1 kickboxer Kelly. He was a heavyweight, really good fighter out of Egypt. Was never, he was a gatekeeper type dude. He has a win over Badahari. He has some notable wins. Daniel Guita was one of his other ones. I love Daniel Guita, really good kickboxer. But he came on and get worked on this one, unfortunately. We lost to another Portuguese fighter. Dude I think he's like now 9-0. Domingos Barros. Good. It was bad showing for Hedsey Georges. I don't know why these kickboxers come out without any ground skill at all. You got to think, you've been a kickboxer this whole time. Don't worry about training kickboxing. You've been a kickboxer since you were a child. Don't worry about kickboxing training. Just 100% focus on ground game. 100% focus on wrestlers. 100% focus on your defense and how to get up. How these people how his team isn't talking to his ear about this, it always baffled me, because the person who's fighting you obviously knows you have an amazing K1 resume. Even if they're a striker, they're going to probably take you down too. So I don't know why these dudes come in here. Hedsey Georges gets pounded out. Bad showing, hopefully he turns it around and maybe this is a good eye-opening experience for him. He can come around. Dude, he's a big dude. I think he can actually do some damage. But now he's starting 0-1 in his career, and that's not very good. Alessio Sakara versus Kent Kapanen was the main event, and once again, another quick fight. This one didn't last very long as well. Sakara's never had a good chin. That's been documented well into his early UFC days, over 10 years ago. And that's the reason why he's not in the UFC, because of his chin. And he just got knocked the fuck out. And I felt bad because Dan Miragliotta let it go a little bit too long, and he got a few unnecessary punches. Kapanen's going to be a good fighter. You know what I mean? We'll see him put him up against somebody else now. He looked like he was quite quick, and I think he just caught Alessio, obviously, and put him down. Go from the slow card to the fast. It was really, really, really good event. Silence the crowd, man. That crowd ever, once Alessio Sakara got knocked out, man, that crowd was just in shock. Everyone's just started leaving, walking out right away. Everyone was just dead silent. It was more gasps than anything. It was kind of eerie. Good card. They want to go from a bad one to a good one. Love this card in Italy. Good move, Bellator. Let's talk some UFC Fight Night 142. Dos Santos versus Tuivasa. Adelaide, Australia. Really good card. I really, really enjoyed it. Let's see. Check out the undercard here. Mizuto Hirota. Japanese fighters have a hard time in the UFC for some reason. It's just so weird. They had there's so many good Japanese fighters, but for some reason they just can't do it for UFC. I love Mizuto Hirota. Pugness is his nickname, and he has a tattoo of a pug on his arm, like a huge pug. He was I always loved Hirota because he came back from a nasty arm break. Shinya Aoki had like a hammer lock, is what it's called, and snapped his arm right in two, kind of like what happened Frank Mir did to Nogueira with that snap. It was like the bicep muscle snap, or the bicep bone there snap. So it was a real nasty break, but he came back and he actually made a good career out of it, but unfortunately just couldn't get traction in the UFC. I think he won a fight or two, but still just to be able to get away from all that and really make a name for a Japanese fighter. Even the dude who beat him on the Japanese show lost like 3 in a row instantly. It's just so weird. It's serious. Something's in the water that they don't like. But they had a lot of Japanese fighters on this. Even Yushin Okami was on it. Kita Nakamura was on it too. He wins. It looks like he was like the only Japanese fighter on the card that won. As Yushin Okami lost in a decision. It's kind of crazy to see Yushin Okami back in the UFC. Against Alexei Kunchkov. The fight that I thought was really good was on the main card. It was Ben Crute versus Paul Craig. What a grappling exchange they had. They were just rolling around like crazy. It was a really, really good fight. But Paul Craig was fading. Come later in the third, obviously, 10 seconds left, gets tapped out. But it was a really, really good fight. But you could see Crute had the much better conditioning when it came to that fight. Good fight though. I really liked the grappling they went with. This is the guy. Sadiq Yusuf. Sadiq Yusuf. He's the guy. He coined the phrase "Black Explosion." I thought that was really cool. Black Explosion is what he came up with. I thought that was cool. And that's the other Nigerian fighter I was talking about. Guy from Nigeria, real tough dude, and he just worked. Suman Makataria just really beat the crap out of him. At least for this show, we had the commentating team of Dan Hardy and the other British guy. I don't mind them; they're actually not bad. I think Dan Hardy's a good color man. I'll give him that. And then we had, that was a really crazy Anthony Rocco Martin versus Jake Matthews. Man, that was a really crazy fight. With Anthony, Anthony was talking a lot of trash, and he came out and, they had a lot of good back and forth too, but he was just too much. Jake Matthews is one of those guys, he's like just below a gatekeeper, I think. When it comes to a dude who's kind of got everything covered. He's tough, he's young, he's smart, very skilled on the ground. He'll pile up wins and then get a loss, pile up wins, then get a loss. He'll always fight in Australia, I can guarantee that, but he's only 24. So I think we can see something coming out of Jake Matthews down the road here. It's a very tough dude, but he gets another loss here against. But Anthony Martin was a very game fighter. This guy was cocky. He was tough. His stand-up was amazing, and his grappling was really, really good too. Really shitty. Mark Hunt versus Justin Willis. It was. I felt so sorry for Mark Hunt. It was a real bad fight. I just think maybe, he's in Adelaide. I think he's more from Sydney. But still, it's in Australia. It's his retirement fight. I feel so sorry. Was that all weighing on him? Was that all weighing on him to fight Willis? Willis was a big dude, too. And it just was a terrible fight where Willis was just slowly backing up, feeding him jabs, and Mark Hunt was just slowly walking forward and eating those jabs. That was the whole fight. Full 3 rounds of it, 15 minutes of it, and Mark Hunt even said, he just had a very quick speech. He just said, "Thank you, UFC, goodbye." That was it. Just walked off, and that was it. He didn't say he was retired. Which is good. Obviously he's gonna go to Risen, and just makes total sense for him to go up to Risen, closer. Japan loves him. And maybe see him against Crow Cop. I think that'll be a good fight. Crow Cop versus Mark Hunt. Poor showing though, but like I said, I think it was probably a lot on his chest, and I feel bad for the dude he had to go through that. That brings us to the co-main event of the evening: Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Tyson Pedro. Great fight. I was really, man, when they were sizing up at the weigh-ins, I'm like, this dude's gonna kill Shogun. He's like a foot taller. He's, obviously that's an exaggeration, but he was like way taller than Shogun. He just looks jacked. From his last fights, he just beats the crap out of dudes. But man, were we ever fucking blessed with a showing of an amazing back and forth match? My God, they really went at it. Shogun was not backing down, and in the second round, you could really see Pedro starting to gasp for air. His cardio was not good. And Shogun gets the takedown, and boom. And, Shogun eventually knocks him down, and, in the third round, knocks him out, and I couldn't believe it, man. It really, Shogun Hua winning a fight. Like, wow. Like, talk about a guy that's still getting it done somehow. Shogun Hua still getting it done. Let's take a look at, let's break down some 6 degrees of separation. Tyson Pedro. No nickname. Weird enough. No nickname. Obviously lost to Shogun. Oh, I didn't know. I thought he beat OSP for some weird reason. He got armbarred by OSP. He beats Sarabek Staffarov before that. He lost to Iafrate, Eli Latifi in a decision. He beat Paul Craig. He beat Khalil Roundtree. He's got a really, he's 3-3 now in the UFC. Kind of a weird stat. He'll still get another event in Australia or something like that, but maybe a guy got to put a bit more in the gym. Because with how the size this dude has, he could go places. Size and his reach. Being Samoan too, it's always a good attribute to have if you're a fighter. That brings us to the main event of the evening: Junior Dos Santos versus Tia Tuivasa. Another really good fight. We had really, really good fights. And I think what it is that Dos Santos touched base on it before the fight, where they were kind of, during the week, they were kind of calling each other out on Twitter, and Dos Santos kind of called him a street fighter and said, "We'll see what happens in this fight, because you're just basically a street fighter, or I'm a professional fighter." And we saw that here. That's definitely what we saw. Was just Dos Santos was just his head movement. He was dodging and ducking a lot of Tua's shots, and really landing some real nice counter punches, and eventually he just added up. It was just too much. You can't let Dos Santos punch you in the face that many times. And he just caught him with that really nice hook, dropped him, and then pounded him out. Of course, he was going to protest a little bit, but there was no way he was getting out of that. You know what I mean? He looked a little bit still into it. When he stood up, he was a little wobbly, but the referee had no choice but to stop that fight. He was just getting pounded on. It was only going to get worse. You can't let Dos Santos stand on you like that and punch you in the face. You're going to be getting knocked out quite quick. Tia's first loss here, and a big win for Dos Santos, putting him back in title contention. Let's see who else this guy's fought here. He's fought 3 other times UFC. He beat Arlovsky in decision, beat Cyril Asker, Rashad Coulter. I beat James McSweeney before this, come into this, former Ultimate Fighter guy. On Brandon Sassoli. I wonder if Brandon Sassoli is related to Ben Sassoli. Huh. Something to look into. Huge win for Dos Santos. Good fight though, man. It was a good card. Those great showing for the Australian fans. It was weird. I wonder if their time zone, what time it was at, because I think it was live when it was 7 o'clock here. Maybe just in the morning or something, a Sunday morning maybe the fight was. But I thought it was odd that it was on at a regular time. Where does this put Dos Santos now? Where does Dos Santos go from here? Obviously he's going to be. This is a huge test more for Tuivasa as the guy being the challenger, and for him to try to climb the ranks. But it turned out to be Shigano's stepping stone, just right back to that title shot again. He beat Ivanov to decision. He lost to Stipe, beat Rothwell, lost to Overeem, beat Stipe, lost to Cain Velasquez, beat Mark Hunt, lost to Cain Velasquez, beat Frank Mir. The dude just on and, losing and winning, but, the UFC, the heavyweight division, that's what happens. And you should just be thankful he's got 2 in a row, and you turn that into 3, get an injury replacement, something like that, and boom, you're fighting for the title again. The Saturday shows did not disappoint. One thing that was really cool that I really want to talk about that I got to enjoy this weekend was KSW, the Polish promotion. And man, there was no shortage of production values. There was it's really shitty because it was like I was very much impressed with their professionalism and disappointed at the same time. I kind of wanted to see, like in Fight Nights Global and M1, it's a little bit, it's very odd. Some of the shit is very odd. Like the people in the crowd are different. The different crowd that goes on, the different stuff that they have, like on the ring, like this with the guys singing and shit like that, like the soldiers singing for the entrance music for the people. It was very professional. KSW was very cool. They had the 360 ring, right? Like they were just like a round ring, cage ring, and the stadium was packed, was full. And when the fighters would walk out, they'd walk out to this part. It was kind of like the big opening that would go to the stadium, and then they would walk up these steps to the stage. And the stage was very, very nice. Like it had like a really cool digital display. The floor was a digital display. And then they had like these 3 walls that were all digital, and the walls could move up and down. And it was just super, super cool. Like the way the floor of the stage would change to different things. It was super, super high tech. And then they would go to an elevator. So they go up these stairs to the stage, and then an elevator would bring them back down to the floor. I thought it was funny. And then they would go to the ring. And it was just really, really cool. They have body sponsors, like, like a tattoo, like a fake tattoo of a sponsor on their body. I thought that was interesting. They have an English ring announcer and a Polish ring announcer, so I thought that was a nice touch. That because when I was first watching, when they're talking to the owner, the promoter, and then like the main booker, they're talking to them. It's all in Polish, obviously, but the interpreter you couldn't really understand what the hell the interpreter was saying because his accent was so thick. So I'm like, I just fast forwarded through that. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to hear what they had to say though. I got a little bit of it, but it was, like I said, the interpreter wasn't the best. But it was cool that they had the English in-ring announcer. He had a really cool voice, so that was kind of a nice touch. So they could tell a little story, introduce the fighter, and the fighter coming in English. So I thought that was a nice touch. That they didn't really need to do, but if you want to get English fans, English-speaking fans, I thought that was a really smart move. There was actually a really good commentary team too. It was like a British dude and a former fighter. I tried to look it up yesterday, and it was really hard to find out who their commentators are. That's how kind of low key they are. But it was actually very good. The play-by-play guy had a lot of funny catchphrases and shit like that. He was super. Super excitable and way, way better than the UFC team. But it was really, really good on that. One thing I thought was weird was no Russian fighters. There was no Russian fighters on the entire card. It's kind of odd. There's so many Russian fighters. Maybe I know Poland and Russia have had a long history of hate towards each other. But maybe that has something to do with it. I thought there was at least be one Russian fighter on the card, but no, not a single Russian fighter on the whole card. Just a bunch of Polish fighters, I guess. There's a lot of fighters in Poland, I guess, and that's what I saw here. It was kind of cool. The ring girls, rather than hold up like a sign or a card, like a board, they have a flag for round 1, a flag for round 2, like a short flag. I thought that was a really nice little touch. Different little things. Like I said, I was very impressed by the professional. The arena was well lit. Like I said, the board, like the stage where everyone would come, was super high tech. They had a super cool light system. Polish dudes love their rap. Almost every fighter came out to rap. The weird Polish rap. And it was really cool. They made the announcement of Pudzianowski on this show too. Mariusz Pudzianowski versus a gold medal weightlifter. I didn't catch his name, but it's kind of cool because if you don't know, Kelly, or people out there, if you don't know, Mariusz Pudzianowski is won the world's strongest man competition a few times in a row, and he's really this whole KSW's kind of been behind him. That's really how they got their name, is by signing him, really. And he's not a bad fighter. He's honestly not bad. Good for him. He's obviously a super tough dude, super mega celebrity in Poland. He doesn't need to fight, and I guess he just really enjoys it, and he's not bad. He's got some hits and misses. He's obviously a mega beefcake, and he gasses. But I'll give it to him. He's actually a pretty tough dude. He's not a bad fighter at all. I'll give that to him. Like I said, I don't know anything about this other guy's probably an amateur, and I think it's a cool fight. A gold medalist weightlifter versus a former world strongman. That's a very good fight. And they even announced they're doing a movie. KSW's got a movie coming out called Underdog, and it has the dude from the main event, Mohamed Koladov, on it, and like this famous Polish actor in it. But I thought, like, man, they put a lot of money into this movie too. The movie was done very, very well as well. When I was watched the trailer for it, I thought, man, this fucking company is doing shit. These guys, Poland's an untapped resource, I think, for fighters, where a lot of people are going to Russia for all these fighters. I think Poland is where they got to go to really get some of these dudes. Very tough dudes. There's so many of them, so many fighters, and there was actually some pretty decent talent on the show. I thought the booker of this show did a really good job of mixing dudes up. They had a few Polish dudes versus Polish dudes, and but then they'd mix in with a Japanese fighter versus Polish dude, or they'd have like a Brazilian fighter as well. They had their first 2-division champ was a dude. It was what fight was it here? Oh, it was Mateusz Gamrot, who actually fights. He actually trains in America. That's how serious this dude's taken. He actually trains in America, and he had a fight against for the 145 pound belt. Kleber Kyoke Erbst. He had a really weird story too. He's born and raised in Germany, but then moved to Japan and solely trains in Japan. But he's a jiu-jitsu guy too, so it was really weird how and this dude loved fighting so much he moved to Japan. Like, what a dream that would be. That'd be super cool, just to be able to do that. And he came in overweight. So since he came in overweight, he was instantly stripped of the title. He couldn't win the belt. But if Mateusz won, he could get the belt, and he did. They actually had a really good back and forth match. 5 minutes. All 5 rounds. It was actually a really exciting match. Mateusz Gamrot, very tough wrestler, very smart wrestler. He had a game plan. He was good on his feet too. He just had a smothering style. Tough dude. He's now he's the 155-pound champ for KSW and the 145-pound champ for KSW. And this dude's talking about going down to 135. He wants to be the first 3-weight champ, probably in any division. Without counting boxing, but boxing is a joke. So I'm interested now. That's a fucking storyline for me to listen to. Mateusz Gamrot, check this guy out. He's undefeated. 155, I think, is more of his fighting weight. 15-0 with 1 no contest against Norman Park, but he did beat Norman Park as well before that. Has obviously fought a ton of Polish dudes. And he's basically fought all KSW, but he's fighting KSW. You're actually fighting some pretty tough dudes. So the fact that he has this many wins in KSW is a pretty big statement. Maybe he gets his chance, and maybe UFC signs this dude. We'll find out.
Sorry.
But it was really good. His nickname is the Gamer too. Mateusz Gamer Gamrot. Kind of cool nickname actually too. And then that brings us to the main event, which was the rematch. Mohamed Koladov, a guy who's been around for a very long time, and he's also basically the KSW legend. It was basically he I think was the first dude in KSW, really to legitimize it. And obviously, so he's probably one of the, at the time, he was definitely the biggest MMA star to come out of Poland. And it was his rematch against Thomas Narkun. And man, that was a really good fight. I was really impressed. Narkun, I think that guy could get signed. And I think it was a non-title. Yeah, it was non-title. And it was kind of like the rematch. Mavakavladov, like I said, he was in a movie, which I thought was weird. And to come back, he lost his first fight against Narkun by triangle choke. And this fight I was really impressed by Narkun's stand-up. He was a well-rounded fighter. This dude's got somewhere to go because his jiu-jitsu was so good. But his stand-up was just like this total, like a Colby Covington style, like kicking you, punching you, kicking you, taking you down. You know what I mean? He had just a smothering, rapid-fire kick style that I was like, holy shit, watch out, this guy's coming for you. And that's what you want to see anywhere. I don't care where I'm watching a fight. You want to see the one person want to win, and that's what I saw with these two dudes. I was really, really, really impressed with both of them. And Kaladov, being timeless. Thomas takes a very close decision, and Kaladov afterwards retires. Game dude, 34-6, 185. I think he was the Sengoku 185 champ when that was still around. Let's take a look here. Let's break down 6 degree separation Mamed Kaladov. Two losses in a row, both to Thomas Narkun. That's what I think. I'll give those commentating guys credit, because man, the last names they had to spell for all these, like, to sound out for all these Polish fighters. They have some pretty wacky names over there. The names they had to say, the very, very professional commentating crew. Holy shit, the guy hasn't lost, and he did before this fight. He lost in March, was his first loss in like 7 years. He just had, and he lost to Jorge Santiago, which was like kind of it was Sengoku. I think that was a controversial loss. He knocked out Jorge Santiago, and then the second one was a decision. I think it was controversial. I do remember that one because it was really, Sengoku didn't have a whole hell of a lot. I enjoyed some Sengoku. I think it was Kidoka was their 155 pound champ. But I think the 185 was one of their main things too, because Santiago and Kaladov had like they had a war, I think, over their first fight. I can't remember. It was 2009. He's beat Jason Guida. He's got a lot of wins. A lot of fights, man. This guy's just fought in everywhere. Obviously tons and tons in Poland. Lost his first 2 fights, actually. That's kind of crazy. Mamkalov lost his first 2 fights and then won 3 and lost again. So he actually was 3-3 out of his first 6 fights. That's kind of weird. And then just to rattle off wins after wins after wins. He fought in Show XC. I think that was the problem with him. He got signed by the UFC, but they wanted him to fight like during Ramadan or something like that. And then he refused, and then he just backed out of his contract, said, I'll never fight for you guys again if you're going to, I think it was maybe a disrespectful move on the part of the UFC to then not be a little bit more open and say, hey, okay, we can reschedule. You know what I mean? But maybe they both sides didn't handle it very well. He was in the KSW 7. He's definitely one of the early KSW, because it looks like his first KSW fight was KSW 7 in 2009, which was probably a long. It was definitely 2007 August. Moves over to Japan, starts fighting for them a little bit, and then really makes his home at KSW. Where they really were bringing the people of, beating Matt Lindland's not that big of a deal. He beat James Irvin, Jesse Taylor, Rodney Shonuff, Wallace, beat Kendall Grove, Melvin Manhoof, Sakurai, Brett Cooper, and then it kind of goes down a little bit. Boris Mikowski, and go on that long of a win streak, and then let's take a look at KSW here. 52 events, 443 matches. All in Poland. Oh, they had a fight. They had a card in Ireland, in Dublin. I remember that one. They've had a show in England too. Lots of Polish cards, obviously. But cool. When was our first one? Was February 2004. Oh, okay, so they only had like 2 events 2004, 2 events 2005, and then they kind of went out from there. Looks like it was a tournament. Yeah, crazy. KSW getting it done. Really enjoyed it. I'd watch again. Like I said, I was kind of disappointed that it was so professional. It was very much like a UFC. Like watching UFC, the everything they had, all the production values was very too professional for my liking. I wanted to see a little bit of this, a little bit of a like a sideshow, but I didn't get it. I got a very professional event that was very well run, and the light show was very nice. That brings me to boxing. I'm not a boxing fan, number one. But you have boxing. This is your chance on a night of all this MMA. You have your big chance here to show the world, nah, we're still number one. Boxing on the top, and you fucking blew it. It was a terrible fight. You know what I mean? Sure, there was a few knockdowns, but still, when you go to the judges, one judge has like 116, 111 for Wilder. You know what? With the two knockdowns, obviously, I think you got to give him the win. The other judge has it 114, 112 for Fury. And then on top of all that, the third judge has it 113, 113, a fucking draw. You have three judges that all saw the fight so wildly fucking different. This is what's wrong with you, boxing. What a fucking joke. So now we got to get the rematch to sell more shit. Like, if the fix isn't in, I don't know how else you can say it. To me, that looks rigged. That looks rigged to me. That Vegas wanted everyone. Who's going to pick a draw? Right? Who's going to pick a draw? No one's going to pick the draw to win. I couldn't imagine what the odds are if they do go to a draw. It'd probably be pretty darn shitty. But you don't hear ever of somebody picking a draw. I don't even know if you can even pick a draw when it comes to some of these fights sometimes. Still, what a joke. You had your chance to really pull on. Wilder gassed hard. Tyson Fury had more in the tank, you know what I mean, which is his comeback story doesn't get fulfilled. Going to see a rematch. They both weirdly enough, called out Anthony Joshua. A three-way battle. It's stupid. Boxing fucking stumbles so hard on this one. Huge week of MMA, and boxing plays a total shit. Step your game up, boxing. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Like I said, I'm not a boxing fan, so you're talking to the wrong person. But, man, just in my eyes, you're going to try to win me over as a fan. This is your big show as the heavyweights. The heavyweights always put asses in the seats. And always the best division, and boxing did not show that. That's been the biggest problem with boxing throughout all the years recently. They don't have a heavyweight champ, a good heavyweight champ. The Klitschko's were far too boring and far too good for far too long, and no one has been able to replace them. And this is what we're going to see here. You're going to see another very, very lackadaisical, boring fight between two dudes who are going to make a whack load of money. And, if it goes to the judges again, it's disgusting. Can't believe it. Let's round out the show with a little bit of wrestling. It seems like it was forever ago, Monday and Tuesday, where we talk about wrestling, man. There's all this MMA. So busy with all that being taken care of. Once again, another good Raw. They found a way to work Elias as a face by making him directing his hate towards the new Authority group, especially Bobby Lashley. And I think that really works. And with the Elias attack, they've done a very smart move, helping Elias even more turn to this kind of this, bad talking face, is by, with the Authority team attacking Elias. And I like the Authority team with Dolph Ziggler. Sorry, not with Dolph Ziggler, with Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley. But is Dolph Ziggler invited? I haven't seen him with this new Authority group. He did have a match, obviously, against Seth Rollins, which was actually a really good match. But it's kind of weird that he's not in this team. So we'll see what happens. I want to see them go a bit farther than these three team people. Let's go a bit bigger of a team here. Let's see where that goes. And I think there's a few dudes who could join that team, and maybe they go up against the Balor Club. I think we're hopefully leading up to this. Looks like Alexa's concussions are getting worse than originally thought. Her neck and concussions are bad. So they've now making her the Raw Women's GM. It's a sign that she could be out for a long time, and that is real bad news for Alexa fans. And that's the rumor swirling, and it's getting more and more steam, is that she may walk away from wrestling forever, and that would be a terrible, terrible news. It just shows how terrible 205 Live is that their best team is the Lucha Party, who comes over. They get the big play on the Raw, let alone not even SmackDown. On Raw, SmackDown just probably doesn't have the time. Is the dudes who can't even speak English. I love the Lucha House Party, and I'm not saying anything mean that they can't speak English. I'm just saying when it comes to wrestling, you have to be able to talk to the fans. You gotta be able to talk. But I'm just saying to my point is that all the dudes who can speak English on 205 Live are so bad that the dudes who are getting the main play are the Lucha House Party, and I love it. I love the Lucha House Party. I think they're a great push to be coming up, and always having at the end of they have Lucha House Party rules where all three of them get to compete. I'm loving that move. Lucha House Party is really working for me. Kalisto, Lince Dorado, and Grand Metalik. I really love them in ring too. Really good wrestlers. And I'm eating it up. It's awesome to keep beating up the Revival too. It's just great. I feel so sorry. What did Ember Moon do? Who did Ember Moon piss off backstage to be paired up with Kurt Hawkins for the mixed match challenge? I feel so for you because Kelly, if I can explain it to you here, like Braun Strowman, who's this huge dude, that was her. It was originally Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman. Alexa Bliss gets injured, so they bring in Ember Moon to be Braun Strowman's partner. And now Braun Strowman's injured, so they brought in Kurt Hawkins. Now Kurt Hawkins is on like an incredible streak for losing. He's wrestled in like 250 matches now and lost every single one of them. And now they're putting her with this girl who's got a lot of hype. They're putting her with her, so it's just going to say, you know what I mean? It's just almost a preconceived notion that they're going to lose their next match. I feel sorry for Ember Moon. She's a really great performer. And here they put her with Kurt Hawkins. Very, very disappointed with that move. I really am liking with Raw Baron Corbin's abuse of power. Always changing the matchups at the end. I do like where they're going with it. Baron Corbin, some people don't like him. Taz is an outspoken guy saying he doesn't like Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin's making the best of a bad situation, and he was kind of thrown into this. When he first became Commissioner Corbin, I thought this is a weird move. I don't know if they made the right move for the right guy, and I think he's doing his best. I think Baron Corbin's a great performer. His mic skills needs a little bit of work. His acting does too, but he's getting there. He's getting there. I like Baron Corbin. I like what they're doing with him. On to SmackDown Live. I really love the women's battle royale that they had right off the bat. I was really questioning though why they had Mandy Rose talk when she came out with the Iconics and not the Iconics. I thought that was a really weird move. As Mandy Rose isn't known to be on the mic at all. They make a little bit with her. Maybe she's gonna be getting split up there and making fun of Paige a little bit. Maybe her and Sonya Deville are gonna get split up here. They're both decent wrestlers and they both belong in the division. I'll give them that. Good to see the Usos again. Rumors is they had really upset people backstage. So it was good to see them on the TV. And I really love where SmackDown's going. Nakamura versus Rusev. We've seen a little bit of this before in the past. And I think right now it works perfectly. Thank God for Rusev. He's really got to be happy that he's not going to be feuding with Aiden English in a total nonsensical feud that was just really terrible and it had no traction at all. Nakamura versus Rusev is a great move. Let Rusev win the belt so Nakamura can do other stuff. Maybe Nakamura comes over to Raw. They got to find something to do with him. They have no stories for him. They have no ideas for him. Making Nakamura a heel was a terrible idea. They should just keep him the cheeky artist that he was before. The heel doesn't really work for him that well. But it's a perfect rivalry. Samoa Joe crashing Jeff Hardy's 20th anniversary. Jeff Hardy had 20th anniversary on the show. It was really cool. And he was just ruthless. Samoa Joe, they're just letting him have full reign just to go blow the belt every time, just commenting on Jeff's substance abuse problems and everything like that. Very well done move by Samoa Joe. And they actually had a good match, too. I did not expect the Battle Royale to end with Sonya versus Asuka. I thought that was a nice touch for a good little nod for Sonya Deville and her hard work that she's been putting into this. She's really been climbing the ranks of being good. Naomi's one of those girls where I think she's falling, unfortunately, and these other girls are going to be coming up and surpassing her. And maybe it's Naomi's mic skills. She's just not that great on the mic. She's probably one of the best physically gifted and athletic performers in the ring, but her mic skills aren't that good. It's just not that good. So are Sonya's better? I don't think so. But you gotta do the shuffle and have other people go up, see if they catch lightning in a bottle. But I really like the Asuka one, and now that it's going to be a TLC match at TLC between Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka, I think that's going to be a really good match. That one's going to be fireworks. Great matchup with the matchmaking. Good to hear that Matt Hardy's not done. Maybe we'll see him at TLC. Hopefully not with Bray Wyatt. I think those guys got to separate. Where's been Bray Wyatt? I have no clue. Maybe he's getting a makeover here. Maybe we see a new Wyatt Club, or not a Wyatt Club, Wyatt family, and we'll see and hear where that goes. It was good to see Edge and Christian show. It was pretty funny. It had some weird moments. It did a lot of commercials as well. They must listen to the show, of course, as well, stealing our commercial ideas. Never been done before, of course, but Edge and Christian show was actually pretty funny. They actually had a lot of good segments in there. I love there was they had the Edge and Cena show, and Christian's having a nightmare, and it was pretty funny actually. They did a good job. I really liked the first season, and I'm gonna like this second season too. Whew. Wow. Almost hour 45 into it here. Well, I'll be damned. Great week of MMA. Great week of sports. You got anything you want to talk about, Kelly? Anything that's chewing at your brain happened this week?
No. But Samsung phones are awesome.
Yeah, we're the Samsung brothers. S8 bros in the house. Yeah, I'm loving my phone too. I'm just glad I got a case for it because it was so hard to handle.
Yeah.
Without the case, it's super slippery. I'm just really thankful I didn't drop it that whole time.
Yeah, man, it's scary.
Exactly.
Such an expensive phone.
Oh,
too.
I know, exactly. Well, especially you put on you're on the couch, on the arm of the couch, and it was just sliding off on its own. It didn't take anything. It's just so round, really fast, really, really good phone. I'm just having a hard time settling in on a game that I really want these days. I don't know. I think it's hard to find a good game that's not going to be bullshit down the road. And you're not going to find one that's going to be just filled with ads or bullshit.
It's Crazy Taxi.
Wow.
Can't go wrong with that.
That's a blast in the past.
I bought this Don't Starve game because it looks good.
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
played it yet though, so I have no.
No,
idea
it's a game on Xbox too. Did you buy it like Black Friday deal or something?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw it was on sale. And actually looks like I was actually thinking about it. I was actually looking at it. It looks like a decent survival game. Actually, they had like a list of top 20 survival games. Don't Starve, I think, was like top 10.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It was crazy.
High reviews too.
Yeah, big time reviews. Exactly. Yeah. What on that same list? Obviously, there's a reason why I read it was because it was Long Dark was number 1 on it for survival games, and I thought, wow, huge high praise for a game like that. I've played the hell out of it. It's actually a fun game, but it's, you know what I mean, it's hard and it's long and it's dark. Exactly. It's dark too. But it's a fun game. You know what I mean? It's a different weird survival game. I like the sandbox mode. The story mode's a little bit weird, but I like the sandbox mode more than anything. Gonna play some more Fallout. You know what I mean? I'm hoping they turn things around, and I'll still be playing. I'm one of those diehard fans where just thank God I didn't buy that dang nylon bag.
Yeah.
And maybe switch over to some Red Dead when it becomes on sale. Well, that's about all I got to say today, folks. Once again, tune into Twitter. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Shoot us your pictures. All comers are welcome. Check it out. We're going to update it with some pictures today. Not sure what we're going to go with. Send us some suggestions. Thanks for listening to the show, as always, to everyone out there. all over the world tuning into the NU podcast. Well, for my colleague here, Kelly, producer extraordinaire, my name is Steven, and you've been listening to the NU podcast. Signing off.